My panel tonight, I've got Dr. Dina right here. Dr. Dina is actually pretty, I've had two people, this is kind of funny, I've had two different people reach out to me and tell me that she's the reason why they got into cannabis, which I think is pretty cool. They wanted to meet her, so you have a couple introductions I have to make later tonight. I promised both of them, I was like, I know her. She's my friend, I'll tell you, I'll introduce you. So Dr. Dina is the co-owner of the oldest dispensary in California, Oswego. She's the inspiration for the TV show Weeds. Yeah, this is the Real Nancy Botwin. And was the cannabis consultant. Yes, round of applause for Nancy Botwin. Yeah. And she was the cannabis consultant for the Netflix show Disjointed, which I loved, by the way. I feel like if people didn't understand the dispensaries of like SoCal, they maybe didn't understand it as much. But if you had a store or worked at a store in Southern California, like you had every one of those friends. Like I literally had every one of those friends. So yeah, she was the consultant for the show Disjointed. She's currently the VP of operations for P&S Ventures and one of the six largest cannabis license holders in the state of California. They own and operate several retail dispensaries, cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution businesses. She is literally crushing it in the industry. Everybody get a chance to meet Dr. Dina. Thank you so much for making it out. What are a couple of your biggest lessons from 2018, and what are the goals that you have for 2019, accomplishing, getting your businesses, licensed through the process or, expanded? So I will start with Dr. Dina.
Well, hello, everyone. I think to answer your question, 2018 brought us mystery, right? Nobody had any idea what was going on. It reminded me on January 1st of an episode from The Office where everyone was just running around hysterically. No one knew what was going on and screaming, "What's the procedure? What's the procedure?" And slowly we figured it out, right? So we thought. And so that's what 2018 was. We learned not to count our eggs before they hatched, because we had many licensing deals that we've been putting together, product lines. A lot of you guys know that there's a lot of different brands that end up on the shelves, and all of those brands have been playing this cat and mouse game with the state of what does our packaging have to look like? What does it need to be labeled to be correct? And so just trying to figure that all out has just been so challenging. People have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in packaging. It's just that you wouldn't think that would put this company out of business, but I know many people that have lost everything just based on some packaging. So we've learned that vape pens, a lot of loss. So we've learned to not put so much money into something, test the waters, be that penguin and kind of push the other person to jump first, watch them, see if you get eaten by the shark. But for 18 years that I've had a dispensary, been in this industry, it was so easy for me, other than being raided by the DEA a couple times, but that's a long story. But really, at the end of the day, it was so easy. And now, every single day is a challenge. And so I think going forward for 2019, we have to remember that we need to stick together. Because if we can't stick together, we are going to get pushed out by the big people with a lot of money who really want to take over. They're just foaming at the mouth to push us out. And the only way to stay afloat is to join forces amongst the community. There's no reason to hire people on the outside. We've been doing this for 20-something years. We are experts at what we do, right? So let's keep those people in. Let's keep them. We give them jobs, make sure that they are part of what we do, because that's how we're going to create a strong a group. And really, that's the most important message, I think, for 19 was don't forget where you came from. So.
As a woman, what would you say would be a bit of advice or something that you've learned to tell other women if you were sitting down and you were about to mentor somebody that's getting into the cannabis industry, woman to woman, what would you tell them right now? Go.
Okay. Well, first I want to say that when I first started in this industry, this wild, wild world that we joined, I was probably the only female in the cannabis space that I had ever met. I mean, when I had met Debbie Goldsberry up in Berkeley, I was like, oh my God, there's another one of us. There's another one, this is amazing. And I thought that was it. It was all guys. But I was wrong. The women were always there. They were just in the back. They were taking care of the kids and taking care of the garden when their husband wasn't around. And so I think that there's definitely this misnomer that we weren't here, because that's wrong. We were always here. One of the people that taught me, one of my mentors, her name is Stephanie Landa. And we met when I first opened my dispensary. And the big question when you opened a dispensary back in 2001, right, or 2002, where do you get your marijuana? I don't know where to get marijuana from. Are people just going to show up at my door? I don't, like, if you build it, they will come. What's the deal? You know, is there a menu? I remember asking people, and people just would laugh at me. I'm like, this isn't funny. I'm really serious. Well, I opened up my store, and the next day, this woman came in, and she was in her 60s, and I thought, oh, she looks like my mom. What is she doing here? And she pulled out a duffel bag and said, so do you want to buy this pot? And I went, well, this is unbelievable. This is the best weed I'd ever seen. So I bought all this pot, and she goes, you don't have any cookies, you don't have any edibles, you don't have any hash, I'll be back tomorrow. She came back tomorrow, and she made literally 80% of what I sold in my store. She was amazing. And she needed more room because she couldn't grow enough pot in this one little house. So she went to San Francisco. She secured this huge building. She went to the city of San Francisco, the police department, and said, I'm a medical patient. I want to grow medical cannabis with your permission. They said, well, let us do a walkthrough. They did a walkthrough. They said, that's very nice. Go right ahead. And then they called the DEA and turned her in. So Stephanie went to federal prison for 5 years. And when she got out, she told me about the horrors of being in prison. I had never gone to jail, let alone, like, this was my first experience in the cannabis space, but I learned you don't get free soap or toothpaste in jail. You have to work for it, and they give you 90 cents a day if you're lucky. And how are you supposed to support yourself? And so I felt so bad afterwards that there's so many people in jail for pot all around the country. Now, we might be having a party in California, in Colorado, and in other states, but look at this woman right here who was following the law of the state, and now she's a felon. She went to prison for this. This is screwed up, right? So we need to, as an employee, she wasn't drug dealing, like she was operating a legitimate business. And so that's something we have to remember. I started a nonprofit with Stephanie called freedomgrow.org. We raise money, thank you. We raise money and we put it on the books of people that have been in prison for pot, nonviolent, victimless crimes. We help them with their clemency. We try to get them out. There are over 85 people spending life in prison right now, so we want to get them home. Actually had a jail call this morning from a prisoner that was crying for 20 minutes and said, I don't know how you found me, but I got a letter from you and $50, and now I'm the most popular guy in the whole cell block. And so, you know, we're getting just the best feedback from people that we're giving them hope, because they know this industry exists, and there are people that, like this, you know, someone else said, in your state, if you had a stem, you're going to jail, right? Well, that still happens. So we need to definitely take care of the people that grew our pot back in the day. That's how we all got our weed, was from someone illegal. So we can't forget that. And I think that mentoring people is showing them the importance of what we do. It's not just selling weed. And I've always told everyone, the business that I joined was not about making money. And I think that I look at all the people that joined around the same time. A lot of them are men, not just saying that because I'm the only female, but they were all in jail or their business was closed. And it was because they wanted to drive the Lamborghinis and they wanted a different lifestyle. For me, it was about helping sick people. And so we have to remember, we started this with medical cannabis. There are sick people that need their medicine. And even though there's new laws suck balls and I can't give free meds to people like I used to, we cannot forget that's why we were here. And even though adult use, to me, all use is medical use, in the words of Dennis Perone, rest in peace, Dennis. But we can't forget that. And it's so important that even though people walk in, and I was afraid of January 1st, what's going to happen is everyone who's 21 and wants to get high coming in. No, it was 65, 75, 85, 95-year-olds going, I waited my whole life for this moment. I have pain. I don't feel comfortable talking to my doctor about it. I just want to be coming in here and not be on a list. So those are still patients, and we have to remember that. And being in the space when I first started, like with Stephanie, I had a patient named Randy who was dying of cancer, we thought. She was stage 4. There was nothing left for her. She started using cannabis. Before you know it, she was in remission. She started running marathons. And I convinced her to start making us edibles because she used to make me little cheesecakes. And before you know it, she had a medicated cheesecake company, which she still runs to this day. And it's been 15 years. And so for me, when we did mention that I helped inspire people to get involved in the industry, that to me is the best compliment I can get really from doing what I do, is that it's safety in numbers. And there are so many amazing women. You guys are in this room. I'm looking at you right now. We need you to join forces with us, because for so much time has passed, we have been seen in the shadows, seen in the darkness, seen as drug dealers. No, we don't want that. We want all the moms in school to think we're cool. That's our new group. So if we could break the stereotype and get everybody on board to helping one another, because I think that the relationship women on women, it's a little bit different as far as mentorship, and I know that you do a great job mentoring different people in the industry. But when you have, a lot of the times the men were kind of taking advantage of the women in the past. It was like, we're gonna show you something, but we're not gonna show you too much, because we don't want you to take control. We don't want you to take over, right? But that's not how it works. We want the women in charge. In fact, I have Tula right over here. Wave Tula, everyone say hi to Tula. Tula, we brought her out from Chicago, and she's been our general manager for how many years now, Tula? Almost 7 years. She didn't even understand cannabis when she started. Now I call her my cancer-killing expert, because even her own sister, who was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago, she was able to help with CBD, and now everyone in Chicago wants to talk to her about treatment. Well, that's because they trusted a woman to get the message. And so it's really important to have some amazing people on your team.